Well, I feel like we made the right choice going riding on Saturday, but it definitely was a good race on Saturday. And I think I would have been equally as happy going to the race. We did make the good move, though.
We did. We definitely did. Showing up to Verona on Saturday and seeing an empty parking lot for the first time in a long time was a good feeling.
That's not normally an empty place, is what I'm hearing. It's a popular spot when it's open. But man, what an awesome opener to the 2024 Pro Motocross Nationals at Fox Raceway.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel like round one is always one of those races that provides enough entertainment because we're all hungry for the motocross season after a long supercross season. And this Fox Raceway National didn't disappoint. We got penalty drama. We got cheetah hair.
Yep.
We got all sorts of stuff to talk about in this week's JBI Race Recap. So just really excited to go through what the changes are for this Pro Motocross season, the injury report, which is a bummer to go over, but do got to go over that, and what the outlook is going like into round two at Hangtown.
Real quick, our JBI suspension, Yamaha YZF demo suspension is quickly coming to a finish. Here's our demo shock that we have here. So this will be for people to try, and also it's our testing and R&D shock. We finished that just a while ago, and the forks are almost done as well. Those will be a matching aesthetic in terms of the brown and the black, but most importantly, matching in terms of the amount of effort, testing, tuning, and products you're putting inside of them. So once these get finished, we'll have some good videos coming your way about their Yamaha suspension, testing with riders, and getting feedback from them.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It looks so good. Like, Sano did an amazing job on the fork lugs, the shock clevis. The burnt bronze is just such a nice touch, especially the burnt bronze shock bumper.
I don't know if it'll work. There's a good chance the paint just blows off, but I know a guy that can fix a shock if it does. So I figured, why not try it? We're not selling to anybody yet. For right now, it's just us. But I thought it'd be a nice way to really just tie it all in together instead of that freaking ugly yellow bumper.
So let's jump right on into it. 250 class, we got Haiden Deegan going 1-1.
Oh, fuck, that's impressive.
I'm not sure if he silenced the haters or just made them vocalize louder with his off-the-track drama. So what do you think? Obviously, he had a great showing at Fox Raceway.
Because he passed for the win as well.
For sure.
So, and that's awesome to see. That says, like, hey, I may not have to get start, but I can pass up to the leaders and pass for the lead and then still get a nice gap.
And he was under fire from Kitchen a lot during Moto 2. And for him to hold up pretty much the entire Moto under pressure from Monster Energy Pro Circuits, Levi Kitchen, all Moto long was just really impressive. So it spoke to the maturity level that Haiden is riding with, the speed, the intensity, his fitness as well, just because when you're under pressure as the leader, it's, in my opinion, it's harder to lead than it is to be the chaser or in second place.
Yeah.
So for him to lead the entire moto under pressure like that speaks volumes to his fitness, his intensity level, his speed, the bike setup. Seems like he's off to this Pro Motocross season on the right foot.
Bike looks fast too, man. I know the PC bikes are always known for being really fast, but I want to say the Star bikes now seem to be the new standard for 250Fs. And it seems like it's been like that for a while, but they really seem to have the full, complete package. By no means am I saying the Cowie bikes are lacking, but it seems like the most premier bike out there right now.
Do you think he should have gotten pedalized? Because he went off the track 2 separate times at Fox Raceway. The AMA was in the truck for a long time after the press conferences, the motos had finished, deliberating on if they should dock Haiden Deegan or if they should leave it alone. And they ultimately decided to not dock him. But there's a lot of controversy on whether they should or should not have docked him. So what is your opinion?
I think they should have matched what they did on Vial. So since they chose to dock Vial, they should have docked Deegan.
Yeah.
Or they at least should have came out with a reasoning of, here's what we saw and here's why we did it. I trust that the person in charge there of doing the penalties is as big of a moto head, if not more, than myself and us. So they know the sport, they know the history, they know the riders, they know the politics of it. So I'm going to trust they're making the best decision for just the sport. But it didn't seem like a fair application of the rules, seeing it rider to rider, because as you pointed out, Vial did accelerate pretty hard while off track, but Deegan kind of does too. Maybe not the entire way. Again, you also got to enter the track, and to go from dry dirt to that soft dirt, like you got to have some good momentum just so you don't slide out.
Yep.
So I think it'd be nice to see some more consistency, or at least an explanation of why.
We saw an explanation of Vial's reasoning for being docked, but not for Deegan on why he did not get docked. So I just want some further explanation from the AMA as far as that, because it is a bit of a gray area. Like you had mentioned, Vial seems to grab a handful of throttle and stay into the throttle while he's off the track, whereas Deegan, he grabs some throttle, but he kind of let up a little bit and just kind of keep it steady, whereas Vial is accelerating. And I think that's what it ultimately came down to, because the AMA does not like it when riders A, grab a handful of throttle, and B, accelerate while being off track. Do I agree with the ruling? No, just because I want it to be more consistent, because like what you had said, if you're going to dock one rider, dock the other. It's just too similar in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's a sticky situation. So I do kind of see both sides, but I do fall on the side of, if you're going to dock Vial, dock Deegan.
To me, I would have docked either.
Oh, okay.
It didn't look like Vial was trying to make up a place. Surely he was trying to hold his place. I get that. But neither of them look like of malintent.
Yeah.
In a sense. They're in the zone, in the moment, they got off the track, and they're doing their best to get back on the track as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be a amendment to the rule, or even an endorsement or a change to the rule because of instances like this. Let's move on to Levi Kitchen, 2-2 on the day. The cheetah hair is gangster. I'm all for it. Show the personality. I think it's a little silly. I personally would not rock it. It wouldn't look good. Yeah, it wouldn't look good. Yeah, I don't have the confidence like you said. A very impressive showing for Levi Kitchen aboard his first race on the Monster Energy Pro Circuit squad and outdoors. So where do you think his season goes from here? He was very strong. The intensity was there. The speed was there. It just came up a touch short, right behind Haiden Deegan. He literally followed him through the finish line. So he was right there.
Did. Yeah. And if not for that track marker getting in his boot.
Dude, for real.
It's, I think Deegan maybe would have got him. It's, at this point, I can't count that guy out. Not that I want to, but like, he is proven to be as good as secretly you hope a rider to be, because you want to see somebody excel and do well. That's putting that much time and effort and just gets hyped that much. I would assume Deegan and Levi have similar amount of time on that track.
Yeah.
I think Vial was probably at the biggest disadvantage of time at Fox Raceway, of just years. It's one thing to be an amateur and ride there all the time versus being a pro and riding there for maybe a year, 2 years. There's a lot that goes into just comfortability of going to a track and knowing, like, I know this place. So I'm curious if this first round is a good indicator of the rest of the series, of how it's going to play out.
Absolutely. Those two had a sizable gap over the rest of the field in Moto 2. So I look for these two in the next 4 to 5, maybe even 6 motos to really establish themselves and take a hold of this championship. So I think it's going to be a real power struggle at the top between the chef and Deegan on who's going to be the guy to take this 250 Pro Motocross Championship at the end of the year.
Well said. And earlier I did say I feel like the Yamaha Star Bikes are probably the best out there, but I don't think the Cowies are far behind, and nor do I think the KTMs are. So what I'm getting at is I feel like all the riders, even though they're on different brands, with the exception of one other one, is probably not quite there. Now we just get to see the riders duke it out. We can kind of rule out, well, one's on a much better bike or team than the other one. I think they're all on pretty equal equipment. There'd definitely be a minor difference between them all, but I'm glad we have that, so that way we can just say, well, that was the best rider that day.
Yeah. Let's move on to Tom Vial, 4.3 moto scores, consistent. We saw him have a fall in the left-hander right below the Fox booth before they do the step up. That cost him a little bit, but what do you think of his performance in his sophomore season?
I mean, awesome start. Like, you started off great. I would think that track, he just doesn't have a lot of time with. I think once we start moving back east specifically, we're going to see a much better rider. And even in Supercross, I think you just kind of got to let him warm up.
Yeah.
And maybe this is his craft or strategy as well. If he's going to put in his best effort, but not overdo it and possibly crash on, like, press day. Like some other riders did. Yeah.
Really, really unfortunate to see those riders go out. I thought Vial's performance showed good speed, good starts. He's a good starter. I expect him to be in the thick of this fight for the championship all season long. And I think, to what you mentioned, he takes a little while to warm up. So I think once we hit Thunder Valley, which is round 3, I believe, round 4 High Point, some of those more European style tracks, he's really going to excel at.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see him at round 3 and round 4. He won Southwick last year as well, so I'm really excited to see him there up against some of the other riders. So yeah, big things coming from the number 16.
High Point definitely seems to be a track often liked by the MXGP riders that come over. Marvin Muscan usually would do really well there. It seems like a track that if you override it, it bites you. It limits your speed. So I'm excited to see Vial race at that track and see how he does.
Yeah.
But again, you can't count out Deegan, man. That dude can fucking corner.
Dude, really.
You watch his corner speed and you're like, Jesus, all right, like I get it. So it's how fun to watch. Like it really is.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to the 450 class. It got exciting in Moto 2. I thought Hunter Lawrence and Chase Sexton had Jett on the ropes, but man, the guy did it again. 24-0, undefeated in the 450 class on the outdoor track. The dude he's really like cementing his name in legacy by doing this. He's now matched James Stewart's and Ricky Carmichael's perfect season. So I'm really curious to see how much longer he can continue this undefeated streak.
I feel like I'm not appreciating the history enough of what's happening right now, and maybe a lot of other people are, because this is kind of like, no way, this is still happening in the sense of like, get out of here. But this is incredible.
Yeah.
And he's doing it with what looks like ease, in the sense of when you watch Jett ride, he looks calm, he looks collected, and his bike looks pretty good. He gets out of sorts at sometimes, but when you see other riders chasing him, they have to override their comfort zone. And when that happens, the bike dances more, you get more tired, there's just he somehow find a way to have more speed and still be cool, calm, and collected and smooth while doing it. And he's shown you can do it, but man, how do you do that as a rider? Like, how do you go back home and think, all right, I got to get faster, but maintain smoothness?
It's unreal. I would hate to be his competition.
Right?
It's almost unfathomable watching him ride, because you watch him on TV, and I mean no disrespect, but he doesn't look like he's going that fast. But obviously he's going so much faster than not only your local pro, but some of the pros that line up day in and day out on the gate with Jett, Hunter, Chase Sexton, all these other guys. So
yeah,
it's just so impressive to see. I was going to say the 18, but the number 1 now, just doing his thing. And to go 24-0 is quite the feat. So his brother had something to say about it, though. Like
that was awesome.
Hunter had a great rookie showing in the Pro Motocross 450 class. Like I was really impressed. He got out front early, although Jett made his way around him. But the showing of speed and intensity in the early laps to run with Jett and Chase Sexton, I was really impressed with.
Yeah, same, man. And there's got to be some comfortability of when they see each other on the track and they're following each other.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, this is just like home. It's just like practice. Like, hey, bro, let's go. But also just that rivalry among your siblings. You know, man, like, man, that's got to drive you. So with it being early on in the season, I hope we see some, not questionable pass, but some aggressive passes among each other.
Yeah.
Just the way brothers are. You know, man, I think it's going to make for some really good racing.
Yeah, they have such a good family dynamic where they keep, I want to say the family separate and the racing separate, but like there's a mutual respect out on the track, but they're not giving each other an inch at the same time. Where we've seen them battle, I think it was 2022 High Point when they were both still in the 250 class, and they went tooth and nail for a moto win, I believe, and they're just going at it. So I expect to see more battles like that in the 450 class. Maybe not all summer long, but on occasion, I think Hunter will have something to say about Jett's undefeated streak.
Do you think Jett continues it until next year on Hangtown?
It's going to end sooner or later, and I'm kind of just getting to the point where I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. A crash, first turn pileup, mechanical, somebody's just outright faster than him, and we almost saw it at Fox Raceway. We were really this close. I mean, Sexton, again, just followed him through the finish line. It's kind of the same song and dance that we saw in 2023. You know what? I am going to roll the dice. I'm going to say Chase Sexton gets his first moto win of the season.
Ooh, I like it.
Aboard the 450 SXF at Hangtown this weekend. I'm gonna just go out on record and say it. So
cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm a big Sexton fan too, man. I love the dude's heart. He's got grit. There was, when he was on the Honda, still racing Supercross, he hit the ground more than a few times that season hard.
Yeah.
And he came back next weekend like nothing happened, would rip a good start and be right there, and then maybe tuck the front end again. Like, I hate to see that, but I love seeing how he could easily just forget that, move on, and come back better. He's like I hate to say it's like a Dungy in terms of like he's gonna be consistent, but better and like more aggressive and I don't know if more heart's the better way of putting it, but like just he wants it and he's willing to, I don't want to say override the bike, but maybe push himself outside of his comfort zone because you could definitely see his bike maybe dancing a little bit more than Jett's, but he just closed up seconds upon Jett. So in order to do that, you have to be going faster. I think if Chase was to maybe cut back just a little bit on the throttle and slow down a bit, his form and style on the bike would look way smoother. But that's not how you win. You especially beat Jett. You got to push it. And in that case, you're hitting the same bump, but even faster and even more aggressive. That's going to make the bike dance a little bit more. There's no one way or around that, for sure. But I'm a big Chase Sexton fan. I am. I love that he does not quit.
One thing with Chase, he had the fastest lap in Moto2 with a 2:23.9. He was the only guy in the 2:23 lap time in Moto2. Jett Lawrence had a 2:24. I think he was about 4 to 5 tenths off that time. Okay. Nobody else was in the 2:24s or below. Everybody else was a 2:25 or above. So yeah, just goes to show that the pace that the front runners were running in Moto2 was just unreal.
And it looks like he's still on that KYB fork setup.
It looks like it. I saw a photo. I meant to show you before the podcast, but I saw a photo and it looked like that top cap, that 3D printed top cap piece was still on there. So I'm going to show you after and just triple check. But yeah, it looked like just
it does
across the top.
Yeah, I don't think they deviated much from some of the hardware that they've been using on Supercross. Obviously different settings from Supercross to Motocross, but similar hardware.
Let's roll into a bummer side of the sport, the injury report. We have RJ Hampshire out with a wrist injury, already underwent surgery the day after press day. Just a bummer that he had a basketball-sized rock, almost boulder, I guess, on press day. And just hit the ground hard and picked up a wrist injury, which is unfortunate.
It is. I don't know how accurate this is, but that just tells me on press day that guy was that zoned in, fucking ripping. That unfortunately didn't see a rock. And as much as I want to be like, dude, calm down, chill, it's press day. Like, you also gotta make a statement for yourself and show the other riders like, hey, I'm here to rip. So I can never fault a guy for just trying and put in their best. I was just really bummed to see that though, because where do you think he would have finished had that not have happened? Where do you put him? I put him top 5.
I was going to say top 3.
Right?
Yeah. It's hard to bump one of those guys between Deegan, Hampshire, Vial, and Kitchen. But somebody's got to go.
Exactly.
So
yeah. And I think as we predicted earlier too, I think that's some of the things that bites him sometimes. He does always go for it. So we were kind of not worried, but wondering how consistent will his finishes be.
Yeah.
With that style, especially going 30 minutes twice for 2 motos. There's a lot of room for errors over that course of time.
Yep. And then we got, unfortunate, but Muck-Off Club MX Yamaha rider Garrett Marchbank's out, re-aggravated a thumb injury that required stitches. Yeah. So no surgery required as of right now, but it does have stitches. So hopefully it's just a couple weeks and that laceration ends up getting healed up and he's good to go. But just unfortunate to not have Marchbanks on the gate because he's a top 5 threat on the right day and a for sure solid top 10 guy.
Yeah, he is.
Cool. So let's roll on into Hangtown, round 2 Pro Motocross. So the track preview, it's going to be relatively the same. They might change a few sections here or there or a jump here and there, but relatively the same layout that we've seen for the past, I don't know how many years. The weather's going to be around 89, 90 degrees, so quite a bit hotter.
Ooh, it's going to be a warm one.
Yeah, so it's going to be a warm one. Granted, not as bad as, say, some of the rounds. I know Budds Creek is notoriously pretty hot every year. But yeah, 89 degrees, so about 20 degrees warmer than what we saw in Paula at Fox Raceway just last Saturday. So
yeah,
it's going to be quite a bit warmer, so a little bit more challenging for the guys. But speaking of Fox Raceway, I want to give a huge shout out to Chief Aruni 9448 for, he didn't get the quite exact podium in the 250 class, but we're going to go ahead and give it to him. So he won a Ride JBI badge logo hat, the one that JB has on, a fresh one. Not a dirty one. So feel free to message us either on the Ride JBI email, Instagram, or just shoot us a message on YouTube with a way that we can contact you so we can give you this hat. So we're super stoked. Congratulations. And we will be doing this again later in the season. So just stoked to have more people in Ride JBI merch.
Yeah, and thank you for just being involved in our videos and reaching out and making a comment. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
I grew up in Reno, Nevada, so I've been to Hangtown many times to go watch the race. That track often gets dry just on kind of normal days. So with that temperature, I'm expecting a pretty dry second moto track, which is nothing new for the Nationals.
Yeah.
But I could see that really maybe lending a hand to guys that are used to that type of terrain. In that case, you got to count in the Deegs.
Yeah.
Southern California boy for most of his life living out there. He can definitely ride hard pack, dry dirt. Jett can always ride anything. So, man, Vial is going to be interesting to watch because I know some of the GPs have some very dry tracks as well. But do they shape up like Hangtown? I don't quite think so. Just kind of different in that terrain.
Yeah.
So I think until we go back east, Vial's not going to have maybe an advantage, or he's going to be at a disadvantage because of some of the riders' history at these tracks that they've ridden so much just over the years versus he has had.
Yeah. So what's your 250 and 450 top three Hangtown?
Ooh, okay. Top three, then I'm going to go with Haiden again for first, Kitchen for second, and then I think Vial's going to be right there for third.
Haiden.
Maybe kind of a distant third, but he'll be a player. I think he's going to get faster each lap.
Yeah.
Just learning the track, learning that, and he just still has so much potential there. But you can't speed that up unless you just go through the time.
Yeah.
For 450s, I'm not going to bet against Jett. He seems to be right there. So I'm going to go with Jett for first, Sexton for second, because I think he could start probably almost 40th and still work his way up to second.
Mm-hmm.
He wants it that bad, and I love watching that.
Yeah.
And then third is probably going to be Hunter.
Sick.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
Good picks all around. 250 class. I'm gonna go Kitchen.
Okay.
I think he wants that an overall moto win. I think he was right there last weekend, so I think he's gonna get it done this weekend. I'm gonna go Haiden Deegan for second, and I'll go Vial for third.
I like it.
Those three seem to be the three that are really just fighting towards this championship. Not saying that other guys aren't, but they're just aren't on the level yet of those other three riders. 450 class, I'm going to go Jett Lawrence for the overall, but I know I called Sexton for a moto win earlier, so I'm not forgetting that. I'm going to go Sexton second with like a 1-2 and Jett like a 2-1. 2-1 beats Sexton's 1-2. Jett Lawrence first, Chase Sexton second. I'm going to go Hunter Lawrence third.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so very similar picks. Yeah, I'm excited to watch the second round because then I feel like we start to get a better idea and clear vision of how the rest of the series is going to play out.
Yeah.
Who's going to be consistent, who isn't, and then that becomes even more apparent come round 3 when they hit up Thunder Valley in Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thanks again for you guys watching. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another episode. We'll be looking forward to round 3 in Thunder Valley in Colorado. So make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Thank you so much.